We're going to look at 10 ways to get your offer accepted in a tight real estate market. That sounds like fun. Good afternoon. So we're still in a tight housing market. It's towards the end of 2021. Who knows what's going to happen in 2022? But it's still tight. You'll see statistics now where the average price of a home is not as accelerating as quickly, but it's still a pretty tight market. And so from time to time I read stuff online, and there's advice columns and advice, and I kind of disagree sometimes. Sometimes I agree, but I just wanted to go over this particular article. I do agree with some of the things, and then I don't agree with others. So let's take a look at that. It is titled 10 Ways to Get Your Offer Accepted in a Tight Housing Market. Well, that's very helpful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Here we go. Okay. So, number one, use an experienced realtor. Now, I'm biased. I'm severely biased, but what does that mean? Like, what would be experienced in this person's mind? What's experienced realtor in yours? Is it the number of transactions? Is it the number of years in business? For example, if you're doing transactions, a lot of times you may work as a buyer's agent for a team where the broker is the person that gets credit for the sale, even if you represented the buyer. So that can be a skewed statistic. As far as time, when do you know you've become an experienced realtor? I feel like I've become an experienced realtor, but it's taken a long time. There's things that I would do now that I would not have done as a younger agent, new to the business. Number two, get pre-approved and provide proof with your offer. Now, I will only submit offers where I know that either you've got a pre-approval, and I will submit that with the offer, and you get that from a lender ahead of time, or if you have cash to purchase the home, then I would need something like a bank statement, block out your name and stuff like that, but just give me a bank statement that says you can afford this home. And we will add that to our offer along with a copy of the earnest money check so that they know that we're serious about buying the home. You may think that it's not necessary to do that, but in this market, it's so competitive that even something as simple as not having a pre-approval letter can get you thrown out of the competition for the home. So I do agree with that. Number three, offer more earnest money. I agree with this one too, but let's just look at it maybe from a practical point of view. Let's say there's two offers and they're exactly the same except for the earnest money. Okay. Typically, the one with the higher earnest money will win. What does that mean? Well, you can put down as much money as you want to. You can go, between 1% and 3% is pretty much where I would be. It's not something that a lot of people do, and the reason why is they're afraid that if they mess up the deal, then they lose their earnest money, which is true. They can also say a deal doesn't come together. The earnest money can be kind of held up and keep you from writing on an offer on another property. So it's something that you need to talk to your agent about, but definitely something that you should consider if you know you're in competition with another lender or another buyer. Number four, write a heartfelt letter. Now, be careful about this. The state of Oregon has outlawed the use of quote unquote buyer love letters. And these are letters that you write that say, I'm so-and-so, we really want to buy your house, and we think it's beautiful and we will protect it forever, which is a nice thought. Now, the argument is that this can lead to housing discrimination. The idea being, well, if you take put a picture of yourself in there, they might know that you're a different race or different orientation. I think it's crazy in today's world. I mean, if a seller really wants to know about you, they'll probably just check your name in Facebook. They'll probably look for you online, and they'll probably know much more about you than you could ever put into a letter. But somebody in Oregon decided that that's You can't have a buyer's love letter. Some people in the National Association of Realtors have said that it's a dangerous place for litigation. I don't remember right now what Missouri's doing. I know the last deal I did, we had like 10 people write love letters. I will say this, for the most part, price wins. But if it's close, you got more earnest money, you got a letter, sometimes that sways the seller. Remember, the real estate agent advises the seller, but we don't make the decisions for the seller. So the last deal I did, a letter came in, was written as from the perspective of the pet, and it was a little wiener dog, and it was so cute. And but they were $20,000 off of what the other offers were. So it's not gonna overcome that much. Offer an escalation clause. This is something that I would say be careful about. Couple of reasons. One, you need to know what the other people are doing. So let's just say there's 3 offers. Do you add an escalation clause? Yes. What if there's no offers? Why are we doing an escalation clause when there's no other offers? It doesn't make any sense. Also, I've come to think about the escalation clause in the sense, like, if there are 4 offers and you start off your escalation clause right at asking price and you run it, out, is that better or worse, or does it matter than somebody that actually starts maybe $10,000 above asking with an escalation clause? I don't know. I don't think my seller cares at the end of the day. I think they just want their money. So yes, offer an escalation clause if it makes sense. Be careful. I've seen people offer an escalation clause that is way more than what the house will appraise for. And if they don't have an appraisal contingency, the buyer is then responsible for the difference between what it appraises for and what the sale price is. Sometimes buyers don't have that kind of cash, and so that can be a problem. Just keep that in mind. Number 6, be flexible. Well, obviously you're going to want to be flexible. One of the things I always do is I call the seller's agent and I say, hey, is there anything that the seller is looking for in a deal? And so they may say yes. They want a 60-day close because they have to move. All right, then you put a 60-day close in the offer. Remember that the offer is not concrete. It's what you're offering. It can still be changed later. There can still be amendments to the contract, but you want to start off with an offer that makes some sense. And if you can just get like if somebody is requiring a 30-day close and you can do a 30-day close, do it. That's no big deal. Number 7, accept a reverse contingency. I don't agree with this. I would not offer a reserve contingency. What a reserve contingency is it says we will sell the house, but they will only if they find a suitable housing in a reasonable amount of time. I don't want to be involved in that. When my buyers are looking, they want to move into the house. They don't want to wait around for months, weeks for you to get a house. And in this market, it could take a year. So no, I wouldn't advise that. I don't think that will get you ahead when negotiating with sellers in any way. I think it's a terrible idea. Number 8, ask your lender to pre-underwrite your loan. This idea is that you can, if it's pre-underwritten, then you can waive the finance contingency and you have a better chance of getting the home. Again, if you've got an escalation clause, if you've got an appraisal writer in there, you're in good shape. But if you don't have an appraisal writer and if you don't have a financing contingency, you as a buyer, and say you have a high escrow, I mean, you're really putting yourself at a significant disadvantage compared with other offers you can make on other homes. So I don't know that at that point that particular deal would make any sense. Number 9, offer a lease back. Again, let's say there's 3 houses and you're representing the buyers. 2 of those houses you can buy and close in 30 days. The other one wants to have a lease back for 6 months. Offer and spend your time on the 2 houses where you can actually close. Time, they say in real estate, time is of the essence. It really is. Sometimes you can have buyers that are, that are tired of looking. They want to buy. They're done. They're not going to want to wait 6 months to move into a house. It's just not going to happen. Don't waste your time offering a lease back or anything to sellers. If the sellers don't want to sell and move out in this market or any other ones, find a different house. It's a lot easier. Number 10, use a local mortgage lender. And this is something I'm surprised by. We've got like Quicken Loans and all these things. The large, the large banks. I've always found more success with my buyers at local banks, local lenders. It can be a mortgage broker. There's just something about the ability to be able to call somebody and say, I need a pre-approval letter. I need a clear to close letter. A local lender tends to know what you need as an agent and tends to be able to work to provide that a lot easier than a national lender. For instance, on a clear to close from Quicken, you may or may not get it. It's just a totally different issue. Now, I'm not ripping on Quicken. People have used them and it's worked out well for them. I just agree that using a local mortgage lender tends to be good. And what a lot of people don't realize is if you get quoted a percentage, an interest rate, well, it could be lower from a national organization. It could be lower, but your fees could also be higher. So that would offset that low initial interest rate. So you got to make an apples to apples comparison. And then the bottom line for me to the question of 10 ways to get your offer accepted in a tight housing market. Number one should be write the best offer. Offer the most money and keep as few contingencies as you're comfortable with in the offer. That makes the most sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to come in with a lower offer just because you have a letter. They're not going to take that. Most people are motivated by money, and they want lots of it. And also they sold their house. They're selling it. They believe that their house is the best house ever because they own it. So, hopefully this helps. There was a lot of good advice in that article. There were some things I didn't agree with, like all articles. But if you start your search with an experienced realtor, I think, and you have a pre-approval, I think you can find a house. What I've told my buyers who have been looking is the right deal will come along for you. If you don't get a house, it wasn't meant to be. Don't fixate. Don't focus on just one house. Just know that there's always new houses coming to the market, and one of those is going to be the one that you buy. With that, I just want to say, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe, please share, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.